It's time we give back. Sow a seed and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back.
Hello, I'm your host, Hosea James Givan II, and welcome to this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform, where we showcase urban superheroes, their projects, and their plans. Today, we have once again, Cinque Brathwaite. What's up, fam?
Doing? Everything's good.
How you doing, brother?
Good. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. It's been a little while, but I'm happy to be back on your airways.
And we have some great news to share with our audience about some upcoming events.
Yes, and on June the 26th, we are sponsoring and featuring a new film that's coming out. It's called AJASS, Pioneers of the Black is Beautiful movement. It's AJASS, and that is an acronym that stands for African Jazz Art Society and Studio. It's about a group of creatives that were founded and started right here in the Bronx, right over on 751 Kelly Street, and their role in creating the Black is Beautiful movement and being the pioneers of the Black arts movement. Although that's not covered totally in the film, it is a great film. It's going to be at the Bronx Music Heritage Center at 3 p.m. on Sunday, June 26th. You know, we have a host of elected officials who've been invited who going to come out. We have our Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson, who's been invited. We have Laura Cumbo. She's the Commissioner of Cultural Affairs for New York City. We have Richie Torres, our congressman. You know, he's been invited out. Senator Louis Sepulveda. And we also have from the 84th, we have Amanda Septimo, who we've invited. We've also invited, again, Councilman Rafael Salamanca.
Okay.
So we have a host of people that we've invited out to this event to share in this great history of the Bronx. A project that's, you know, has a lot of legs to it. It was sponsored by the Bronx African American Project at Fordham University, for the Bronx Historical Society, you know, also Bronx Music Heritage Center, the great Bobby Sanabria and his wife Elena Martinez, who we had one of our first events at, you know, their establishment. So, you know, we're looking to introduce this film. It's only going to be the second time, well, technically it'll be the third time it's shown. This film has won 4 Best Documentary Awards already. It's not been out a month.
That's amazing, brother.
And it's a semifinalist in the Cannes Film Festival.
And we talked about this, I want to say 3 years ago, when we had you as a guest on the show. And we were talking about the whole legacy of your dad, Elombe Brath, the whole movement. Black is beautiful. That started with your family, man. Black is beautiful started with your family. That has to be amazingly prideful. Such a joy to know that this information is being shared. This documentary is going to be able to solidify the legacy of your family.
I mean, even more than that, the documentary, it talks about, Marcus Garvey's the first one who came up with the phrase. He coined the phrase "Black is beautiful." And then a gentleman by the name of Carlos Cooks picked up on a lot of what Garvey was doing about 20 years later after everything had died out from the 20s. And he influenced AJASS. You know, my father was a member of his group. My uncle was a member. Chris Hall, I believe, also was a member. And you know, they got some inspiration from him, you know, so they started a whole movement, a whole campaign about, you know, I don't know if your listeners, you know, get Essence Magazine. Essence Magazine is one of the magazines that just did a feature for Black History Month, the rise of the Black is Beautiful movement. This is my uncle right here, that's my mom, that's my aunt. You know, these women, the Grandassa models who really kicked it off, they were all part of the African Jazz Art Society organization.
That is beautiful.
You know, African Jazz Art Society organization had repertory theater. They had the griots and they had the Grandassa models. So they were founded in 1956. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, man.
You see on the flyer, it says celebrating 66 years.
Wow.
Speaking of celebrating 66 years, this here, my uncle, he has an exhibit. It's not going to be in the Bronx. It's going to be on Fifth Avenue in the New York Historical Society, August the 19th to January the 6th. It's going to be running for a few months, where you can see all of the history and the photography that African Jazz Art Society and Studio AJASS produced. And you know, that's a big deal. You know, this here is an academic book here, The Artistic Activism of Elombe Brath, in which, you know, the early days of AJASS and some of those things, you know, this movement, how it started.
This is a thick book, man.
Oh yeah, it's out of the University of Mississippi Press. You know,
they went and did some research.
They did. They not only did they do some research, they're making it like required reading for history
that
majors.
right?
Yeah, so.
In Mississippi?
Exactly, of all places,
that
Mississippi.
is crazy.
I mean, when you think about this is the first book that really came out that dealt with AJASS. It was by another member, Cletus Smith. It was called Harlem Cultural Political Movements from Malcolm X to Black is Beautiful, 1960 to 1970, and it has the Grandassa models in here. So what happened was, after AJASS was founded and was doing what they were doing in the Bronx with the jazz, the music, you know, the artists, Latin jazz, even incorporating African music, all of these jazz acts, you know, enhancing their careers, giving them a place to play, preventing people from leaving the Bronx and going downtown. They moved to Harlem, and that's really where they also began the Black is Beautiful movement. 1962 of January is really when it kicked off.
You know, my mom is a Harlemite, and I gotta say, man, she is a proud Harlemite, right? And so when the Black is Beautiful movement really was flourishing, she was all in it, man.
Yeah.
And as a result, we were all
in it. Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
We have deep cultural pride.
Yeah,
you know,
as we should.
And I think this contributed to us having that feeling. My mom, again, she grew up in the Renaissance, the Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance era.
Yes.
So she was all into the culture, the poets, Langston Hughes, on and on.
Exactly.
So,
that's all part of the Black Arts movement. You know, a lot of times people read about it and they think it started in 1966, but no, it really kicked off in 1956. Really, you know, the Bronx is the home of a lot of things that we don't know.
It's amazing, man.
And you know, speaking of that, you know, this organization, AJASS, had a street naming already approved for Community Board 2. We're still waiting for Councilman Salamanca.
So who do we have to talk to? Who do we have to push to make this happen, man?
Councilman Salamanca has it.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
So he should be getting this done. But that means, you know, it will be forever part of the Bronx. The young children will be able to look up, learn the history, dig deeper into the history. That's what we want. We want our children feeling good about themselves. There's a lot of depression going on, a lot of mental health issues. We need some positive imagery, positive stories, positive understanding about ourselves.
Absolutely.
So we're hoping that this gets done soon, and you know, our children can get more education, because I mean, every time I turn around, there's something happening about AJASS. You know, I just read the latest Ali book, and there's a story in there about Ali and AJASS and what happened.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I actually have the book here, right here. There's a poem that my father, if you remember one thing about Ali in here, they do the poem. The author was saying, the author's, he used to be on the Daily Show a lot of times. His name is Jonathan Ng. He talked about when Ali, you know, Ali was boxing, he used to have, you ugly black this or that. He used to use black in a pejorative sort of term. He said only group that ever questioned him and tried to force him to change that was AJASS.
Is that right?
Yeah, so my father basically wrote him. My father was named Cinque Brathwaite at the time. He wasn't Elombe Brath.
Right.
And Ali was Cassius Clay.
Right.
He wrote him an open letter about, you know, him using black as a negative pejorative term. And, you know, they outlined the letter in here. And, you know, they eventually made up. In fact, the Thriller in the Rumble in the Jungle, that my father and my uncle were out there for free, because it was sort of like an amends from Ali.
Okay.
From if you read in there
cool,
from
man. That's
the whole beef back and forth about using black in a negative way. We saying it's beautiful. You can't be calling all these black boxers ugly and dumb using these things together.
Absolutely. Hey man, this is exciting time. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to say congratulations.
Thanks.
Cannes Film Festival is huge.
Yes.
So now it's an international thing.
Yeah, we hope if we make it to the finalists, we'll be going for Oscars.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope, man.
We'll be going to Oscars. You
so,
know, after
yeah,
semifinalists is the finalist round. If we get that,
keep us on the A-list, brother.
Definitely.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
man.
you.
All right.
And I thank your audience.
The African Jazz Art Society and Studios was a powerful organization that evolved out of the Garvey movement.
When we organized the Jazz Art Society, we were primarily focused on producing jazz concerts in the Bronx.
The one place where we have made real progress is with hair, where Black women are totally liberated in terms of hair.
We didn't know how this idea would be accepted, because at that time, the idea of Black women wearing their hair in its natural state was not very popular. That was the beginning of what some people call the Black Arts Movement, some call the Black is Beautiful movement, but it was a movement of the aesthetical showcasing of the Black experience, the Black aesthetics, which had not really been featured since the 1920s.
Back then, growing up, Black was not in, it was not in style to be Black. My mother used to say, how are you going to get a job now with that nappy hair? You know what I mean? So people really didn't believe that you would fit into corporate America and things like that.
And when the Grandassa gave me a worldview, more of what's going on in Africa. But all these young girls now who wear their hair in various straits of curl, kinky, half curl, half kinky, half this, one day this way, one day. It's because they have the freedom to wear their hair in any kind of way and the knowledge of knowing that they look darn good.
Elombe Brath, Kwame Brathwaite, Chris Esmond, Desis Hall, Jimmy Abu, Frank Adu, Bob Gums.
We would like to shine a spotlight on a group of brothers who came together in 1956 to form an organization that was later known as the African Jazz Art Society Studios in the Bronx, New York. AJASS, pioneers of the Black is Beautiful movement.
And we'll be right back.
Lift every voice and sing.
Elombe Brath was a Pan-African activist born in New York City of the Barbadian heritage and grew up in Harlem and the Hunts Point section of the Bronx. He is best known for founding the Patrice Lumumba Coalition and as one of the co-founders of the African Jazz Art Society and Studios. In 1961, he launched the Black is Beautiful campaign with a series of Afrocentric fashion shows featuring dark-skinned Black women with large afros.
Bronx Black History Makers!
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
finally score, we're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that? I'm playing with these new face filters. Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine. I'm gonna need that back. No. Kevin!
In this segment, we'll take a look at the 2022 Yes Expo in Mount Vernon, New York. Enjoy.
Good morning, everyone. Everyone is here. Great group of people here. My name is Brother Minister Norman Martin. I'm the youth minister here at Elombe Baptist Church. And I'm excited. This is our second annual Youth Expo. I want everybody to give a round of applause and say, good morning, everybody. All right. I'm used to all the applause in the sports arena or on the stage or whatever, but it's good to be in a fellowship of brothers and sisters that are not just, from church, but from the street, from all walks of life in the community. We are here. So what is the vision for success? Well, I'm going to introduce you to somebody who's going to give us some words, and also others that are going to be a part of this dialogue Q&A. We've got some information about some college tours. And this brother here, I've known for years. He's a mentor. He's a visionary for change. He's a leader. He's an author. And it reads here on his website, he's an eternal optimist and idealist. His name is none other than Hosea Givan II. Also, Reverend Hosea Givan II. He's used his energies throughout his life to inspire and motivate change. He has a nonprofit called Give Back. He does a number of segments. Television producer on Bronx Net, and a host of things that he has to do. And I'm not going to belabor it. I'm going to introduce you to some and also the many. Our guest speaker for the morning is Reverend Brother Hosea Givan II. Give him a round of applause. Come on, man.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I want to make sure the pastor doesn't get mad. I'm a licensed minister, not a reverend. But I want to make that clarification. To Darren Morton, Pastor, Dr. Darren Morton, as has been mentioned, I've known for years, to Minister Norman Fields Martin, and the rest of the Macedonian Baptist Church supporting cast. I want to thank you for this opportunity to share with you and your guests some thoughts of mine. In preparing for this presentation, Minister Martin expressed the importance of exposing young people to successful role models. I clearly understand that importance because I was a guidance counselor for several years, and in that capacity, that was one of my main options in terms of the best go-to move for bombarding young people with as many positive images as possible. However, I also understand that for me, considering myself a role model, I'm not going to do what Charles Barkley. I do consider myself a role model, but I do understand that there are many people that were not as blessed as I've been blessed. And as I think about my life and I look at what I've been able to become, it's primarily because of my parents. I've been blessed with amazing parents. And every step in my life, I've been guided by them, inspired by them. And my parents give me a little history about them. My mother is a registered nurse. She attended Brooklyn College and eventually became a nurse through the Lincoln Hospital Nursing School. My dad, who was a Purdue graduate, engineering degree, what I call a pioneer with IBM. Both parents were very professional people. They made sure that we had a strong educational foundation. I attended private school. Most of most of my educational career, 10 through 12, pre-college. I spent a couple years in the public school system where I was in the special progress program. But I had that firm foundation and the expectation based on everything that had been happening throughout my life, at least the first 22 years. I had a solid foundation. It was expected I would be successful, or relatively successful. So I would consider my success that great, right? Because I had all the tools, I had everything working for me. I had every option, every opportunity to become something better than, I would say, the average. But what I want to, and we'll have an opportunity later on in this presentation to talk to some of the young people in the community that I worked in for over 12 years. And those men are the ones that I really want to commend and applaud because they've been overcomers. They've been the ones that have gone through trials and tribulations. They didn't have the things that I had, and consequently, in spite of that, they continue to forge ahead. We have to continue to encourage these brothers. We have to continue to support these brothers and let them understand that they have a significant contribution to make to our community. And that's why we're going to have this centerpiece where we get a chance to showcase them. Let me talk a little bit more about why I think there is a special piece to me that makes me exceptional. When I think about my past and my upbringing, the greatest blessing of my life was being in a household where my father created a basketball league called the Hollis Biddies Basketball League, and it started in 1971. At that time, he had taken two of his children, my brother Gerald, and me out to East Harlem two previous years to be a part of the East Harlem Biddies Basketball League. So he took that same concept and brought it back to Hollis, because we're from Hollis, Queens. As a result of that experience, for a 12-year period, that program blessed thousands of young people. And as a result, I was constantly around positive black men. These coaches were positive images in my life, and that foundation and that spirit of love and giving and support, that was constant in my life, throughout my life. And when I had the opportunity to understand that early in life, I recognized that it was my obligation, because of everything that I was blessed with, to give back. And consequently, wrote a book, started a program, emphasizing the importance of doing that. The other part of my life that I think is significant is the time that I grew up in. I grew up in the, I use the 70s. I grew and during that time, it was on the back end of the civil rights movement, at the height of the Black Power movement. The Nation Islam was rising and strong. The peace movement was vibrant. Energy every day, talking about anti-war protests and the importance of an anti-war community and nation and world. And the women's rights movement was all a part of that energy that I grew up in. There's a lot of movements, and people wanted to get involved. So it was part of the atmosphere at that time where, when I think about today, there's a lot of reactionary situations going on. If there's a catastrophe, if there's an incident, there'll be a reaction as a result, as we see the sort of Black Lives Matter movement. But in those times, it was kind of organic. We were able to tap into various movements and a certain type of energy that excited people about getting involved. So me growing up in that era, it was natural for people to get back. So me being a product of that generation and of that time, I think it's a special day. Early in my life, I realized that I had a purpose. My main purpose in life was to be like my dad. My dad was a hell of a community servant, was a heck of a community servant. And he was an outstanding role model for me. And when I look back at my life, he was the main person that inspired me to do so much of what I've been doing throughout my life. And I understand that I have an obligation because I realized that everybody didn't have what I had. I realized that in order for us to make this world better, it's the people like me who've been blessed, who've had the opportunity to have the exposure of the support, the nurturing environment, to do all we can to share with others so we can kind of create more balance. For me, growing up, uplift the race was a thing. Uplift the race was a thing. And for me, it still is a thing. If my brothers and I striving and successful, we're not there yet. I may be there, but my people are. So I don't feel I'm there. And that collective spirit, that unifying spirit is what we have to promote. We have to make sure that more people embrace that mindset because we know there are far too many people that have had the blessings and haven't given back. And we have to make sure that we reach those people and let them understand that in order for our community and our people to rise, we have to get them engaged. We have to get them involved. So as I close, I just want to say thank you to the Pastor Morgan, Pastor Somerville, and Minister Martin. I appreciate this opportunity, and we'll stop the other phase now.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform. I was your host, Hosea James Givan II. And remember, if it's in your heart, do your part. Today's help equals tomorrow's hope. I love our youth. Power to the people.
Lift every voice and sing.
NBA Hall of Famer Nate Penny Archibald grew up in Patterson Houses and attended DeWitt Clinton High School. He led the Boston Celtics to NBA championship.
It's time we give back. Sow a seed and show someone where love's at.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.